Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to yet another edition of Africa Discourse. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about leadership crisis in Africa. Is it a crack in political structure? Or what do you think really the cause beneath all the protests you're seeing recently in this great continent of ours? You get to hear about Mali unrest, you get to hear about Ivory Coast unrest, you get to hear also about turbulence in Nigeria. Yes, Nigeria is part of Africa, wants to move outside Nigeria. What about the Central African Republic? What about so many other places like Algeria, Egypt, Libya? You just name it. One form of protests, one form of crisis or another. What are the factors responsible for this? You get to hear of a book, how Europe, dealt with Africa, how neocolonialism is affecting Africa. The big question now is, in this 21st century, are we still going to lay our belief in all those phrases just made before this one? Is it the fault right now of our colonial masters, or is it a leadership problem? All these and more we'll take a look at today's edition of Africa Discourse. With me here in the studio, I have a clergyman, a political analyst. Join me to welcome Prophet Iwala Jordan. Welcome to Africa Discourse, Prophet.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right. And when you talk about academic pursuit, you talk about delivering knowledge, you talk about political analysis, both local and international. My lecturer friend is well grounded. Join me to welcome Prof. Anthony Ijewere. Prof, welcome to Africa
It's a pleasure to be here. It's just that you're putting on too much weight.
Too much weight? Seriously?
Yes.
All right, it's so good to have all of you here in the studio.
Yes.
Now, over some time, for quite some time, I get to hear countries in Africa protesting against their leaders when it comes to election, or comes to security challenges, or better still, come to so many other things that has to do with socio-economic development. You get to see some African countries not being able to bear the brunt. You see them outside of the street protesting. Cameroon, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Mali, Libya, Algeria, many of them, Central African Republic, Sudan, South Sudan. Is like the hit is almost everywhere in this continent. Prof, I want to start off from you. What do you feel about this development?
It's most unfortunate. If you have to deal with a problem, you have to look at the root cause of the problem. If you look at African background and African leaders, they have similarities in their character, in their attitude, in their perception, and so on and so forth. You talked about colonialism, and we're in neocolonialism right now, if you like, post-colonialism. Before, we had this attitude that, oh, colonial masters have come, with their doctrine, with their teaching, with their trying to take over the resources of Africa, and in view of that, they impose their own system of government, into Africa, and therefore, from the French, those from the French colonies and British colonies and what have you, and because of that, in fact, some African countries were even asking for reparation and all that in view of mineral resources they siphoned from Africa, in view of slave trade that took place, over within that period, and so on and so forth. But if you come to think about it, a country like Liberia was not colonized, so how come they still have leadership problem? So it boils down to what is in that thing, Africa, in terms of leadership. What is the attitude, and if you look at the resources that has accrued to some African countries, e.g. Libya, that was swimming in oil, you'd have expected that, leadership problem, leadership wouldn't have been their problem. We had a case where the leader there, the late Gaddafi, himself and the family were running the government. Is that normal? It's not democratic. And we still have other African countries whereby positions, most African, they give positions to their relations, friends, and well-wishers, you know, and they don't really follow democratic system of government. They, presume to be running, you know, and as a result, what do you expect? If you watch the average African leader, either in Nigeria, Cameroon, mention it, you know, they are just protecting their personal interests. And if you look at the electoral process, they assume to have copied from advanced nations like the US and Co and Britain and all that. They are really not practicing it. You know, they are really not practicing it, because if they are really practicing it, it would have put a lot of check and balances, you know, in their leadership behavior. You know, but we're not seeing that. You discover that most African leaders, they are very rich in relations, taking care of relations, friends. In fact, to some extent, girlfriends and extended family members and all that. So the core governance, you know, going and using the constitution as a yardstick to run their countries, you know, becomes a problem.
So you're saying that is an African thing?
Yes, an African thing.
Because
it's similar characteristics.
Okay,
yes.
I'll come back to you, Prof. Well, you heard Prof say this is an African thing because he gave an example of a country in Africa that wasn't colonized. Liberia, they had their own fair share of squabble. Well, as a clergyman and of course a political analyst, what do you have to say about this?
Say Africa, we cannot claim to say we don't know what is right. Leadership is all about making your followers happy, knowing where they are feeling their pains. But in Africa, we are insensitive. Very, very insensitive. We are very selfish. Let us not continue to blame the colonial masters. How many years have they gone? How many years have we ruled ourselves? We are now, you know, coming back to neocolonize our people. I've always mentioned it here. I think we have to go back to our roots. Africa, we should go back and say, how do we rule ourselves? We are not Americans, and Americans cannot be Africans. Therefore, there should be an Africanized concept, method of Africa as ruling themselves with, of which we had them before the colonial masters came. We should go back to our roots. The political quagmire we find ourselves into, look at selfishness everywhere. People are protesting, nobody cares. If it is the Western world, the president will resign, minister will resign. Nobody is resigning in Africa. If you like, they will even use soldiers and police to intimidate everybody, to ensure that they keep exploiting their people. Very, very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. So, I think we shouldn't be blaming the colonial masters. They have no blame at all. Repatriating what? I'm sure if you bring a white man into 4 years tenure of our system, now you see Nigeria changing. Like Prof said, they keep bringing selfishness into it, bringing their relations and bringing all their friends to loot everywhere. Look at what happened in Imo State, for instance. The case of Okorocha, they are locking everywhere. I think 2017, God sent me to him. I couldn't locate him. I had to publish my newspapers. God said he has committed abomination against the land. Therefore, he shall be arrested and be humiliated. I published it on newspapers. I think it is here. You know, I have it here. And what is happening today? And so the same thing. How can you be building a state for your wife, building this for your children, building a radio station for what is that? When all of us, God has blessed us with much endowment of oil. And you know, look at the COVID-19 issue. The Europeans, they were giving their people money as their own palliatives. Here we were not given anything. Why we have enough money accrued from the oil, nobody cares. I think we are not godly enough.
We're not godly enough
in our leadership.
You're bringing in the God factor right now.
I will come to that.
All right, fine. I will come back to you, Prophet. Now, he said we shouldn't blame the colonial masters, but we take a look at Africa where they have this trouble. Is they're trying to play out the scripts given to them by the colonial masters. After all, we're not used to all this democratic dispensation. You get to hear about a democracy seen a leader trying to tweak the constitution, so to speak, to remain perpetually in power. Don't you think that that is like a root of all this neocolonialism?
I wouldn't think so. You know, before we anchor our argument on that, we have to look at who is the African leader. You know, if you look at the communal system, you know, whereby if a child or a man is caught stealing goat or refuse to come and work, they will seize either a fattest goat and kill it, and members of the community, the youth will share it, they will feast on it. You know, that's the kind of discipline, if you like, you know. And you also discover that our traditional rulers had a role to play then. You know, they were feared, you know, because they were more upright, you know, in their judgment, especially where there's a communal crisis or when individuals have offended the rules and regulations of that community where they find themselves. So there was, to some extent, a level of sanity, you know. And so if we say, based on my dear professor theory, if we carry that, maybe we carry that over to formulate our own rules and regulations based on our experiences and what have you, you come to realize that the traditional rulers we had those days, are they still the same? Traditional ruler with integrity, you know, with uprightness, you know, have they not been blindfolded with money? You know, otherwise, how do you explain, you know, insecurity, Boko Haram, herdsmen operating in a particular geographical area, the forest of a community? How would the community people, the traditional rulers, they say they don't know that they have a stranger, they have strangers in their forest? But we also are aware that allegation, you can call it an allegation, anyway, we are not mentioning any name, that sometimes they are giving some of this cow and giving some good money. So at the end of the day, they turn their face, you know, to the other side. Then the kidnappers will take over their forest, do whatever they want to do. Otherwise, how do you explain it? That a forest, a community governed by traditional ruler, he will say he doesn't know what is going on in his environment. It's not possible. It's because he has soiled his hand. So you can carry, and our politicians and what have you, they all generated from these various communities. I don't know if we are communicating. Yeah. They all came from the various communities. So by the time they become politicians, you know, it's sometimes, I'm not saying it is bad. They also pay homage to some of these traditional rulers, you know, and they'll say they went to receive prayers. It's all right, it's okay, but at the same time, they don't talk about the other side. You went to receive prayer. What about the big brown envelope, the cow and what have you, you also deposited there? So when the politician that is running democratic system of government, you know, now misbehave, traditional ruler finds it difficult to say, hey, our son, I prayed for you last time, but the way you are operating now, I don't think I like it. So you have to behave yourself. We don't see things like that. You know, what we see today is the highest bidder is the best leader, is the best everything. And so this thing is, so when it now gets to the constitution, application of the constitution, they bastardize it. You know, they make nonsense of it because of the root where they are coming from. And perhaps some of the key problem is this extended family system. You want to satisfy your people, you want to satisfy members of your community at a cost of the national project. What am I referring to? The interest of the country. The interest of the country, which is guided by what? Our constitution. Do they respect constitution? We've seen cases, especially in Nigeria, where constitution is violated almost on a daily basis. You know, where you know, the office of a particular political holder in security area will expire, and the constitution says it should not be retained. You know, the next man in command should take over and all that. But it's violated almost on a daily, where court will give judgment, and the judgment is not respected, and all that and all that. So will you not say it's the influence of colonial master? No, the thing is in the blood of the average African, because there's this wanting to get money quick. Even the youths, they are not guilty. Most working places now, especially guests, most guests don't want to work again. My bad, they don't want to work again because Yahoo boys are giving them guarantee that don't worry, I'll take care of you.
All right, not to worry. We'll come back to that. Now, does it mean that it's because of the bastardization of the traditional institution?
Yes.
Is that the reason why
it's part of
we
the
are
reason.
where we are today?
Okay, you see, that is, I am so happy that Prof even, directed his, talk towards that area. I am a reverend prophet. Good. But I remember when we were small, you don't steal anything in the community. If you steal, the gods of the land will capture you, even if nobody saw you. And in that, our gerontocratic pattern, I expected that we Africans should adopt this method in our leadership, status. If you're a councillor, local government chairman, or whatever you want to be, let them be the gods of the land. That is, we Africans, who cannot be Americans, who cannot be Europeans. I'm not trying to take us back, but I'm saying the realities. When they swear by the gods of the land, nobody will steal in the government. The emergence of Christianity now created a backyard door through which people escape. I am coming.
But you're a Christian.
I am telling you that I'm a reverend prophet. Okay. Hold on.
All right.
We are trying to solve our problems.
All right.
Where did it originate from? We are trying to trace it back. Even in communities, you cannot become a chief or a king. The chief priest will mention whom the gods wants to become king. Not the way it is now, by money. Everything has been bastardized by money. That is our problem. We want to be like Oyibo. There's no way we can be like them. The way we take oath of office, people swear with Bible, they don't even die. Nothing happens. Therefore, we are Africans. Let us go back to our origin. People, when we were small, I said, you leave a bicycle outside. Nobody steals a bicycle. Nobody steals. If you steal anything, you're gone. The land, the powers in the land will bring you out. Therefore, I wish, but I know it is not possible, that we go back to our roots, where the chief priest will mention who is going to be the leader. Remember, this democracy is not our own. I've mentioned it here several times. We don't need it. And for Imo State, in our place, every firstborn is elected a leader. They contribute, they select all the firstborn to form the executive members of the village, the community, the clan, and the local government. Natural democracy. Africans
are, each person have a representative in
every family has a representative. Okay. And there's no lobby, no rigging the way we are doing now. And everybody was afraid of the gods of the land. You don't tell lies. There was, look. We can't be like Oyibo. Let us be sincere. Only that the way we have, in fact, we are in the political oblivion. We are gone. I wonder how we can come back again. Don't you know that the way we are going now, politically, for instance in Nigeria, politics cannot survive 15, 20 years more. We will kill ourselves. We should jettison this and go back to our origin. And then to say, we're Africans. This is the way we were doing it before, and it was working. We need to go back to it and stop westernizing everything. Stop Christianizing everything. Stop spiritualizing everything. Look, it is very appalling. Very, very unfortunate. I told you earlier that I'm a reverend prophet. No doubt about that. But if we can say the truth, the political system we are having in Africa, which was borrowed, cannot work and has never worked.
All right.
But if we look at Ghana,
yes,
a country like Ghana, they also went through the same process. But right now, they stabilized. Politically, they are stabilized to the extent that when the former president Obama, when he visited Africa, Ghana was one of the top countries he had to visit. But the Africans like us. So I think it's a leadership thing. And the world is now a global village, So, and if you must belong, it's like a court. If you must belong, you have to run a system of government that is internationally accepted. On the basis of that, you know, like recently, our President Buhari and 38 or 39 other presidents of Africa and some other parts of the world, developing world, have been invited by Bin Laden, American president, to discuss issues on climate change and all that. So,
you said Joe Biden, yeah.
Yes, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been invited. You know, if we're operating a funny system of government, would have been seen as people who are not.
Prof, it's not funny.
No, I'm not saying your theory is wrong, but I'm looking at the
globalization.
Yes,
But if you still look at
because that is the issue. Because if you see. Locally, the system of government you are prescribing, based on our native background and all that, makes a lot of sense. But I'm also saying, we may not fit into global issues, you know, and because we'll be seen like a country who has not come of age.
What about a country like Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
Morocco.
Yes.
Practices traditional method. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
So I mean, how can you not relate to?
But at the same time, if you look at the system of government there, you don't have this crisis. You don't have riots. You don't have because they took into cognizance the interests of their people, and therefore they satisfy their people because they have this oil wealth. Even former Gaddafi, late Gaddafi, that has been accused that is running the government. You know, Libyans were happy because he was able to provide their basic needs. There's serious welfareism there, and people's needs and wants were catered for. It's not, but is it the same in other African countries? Right. And the answer is no.
Okay, but over to you said if we want to go by that system, we may not be able to meet the tenets of globalization.
No. We don't need to fit in, but automatically we'll fit in. Like you mentioned, Saudi Arabia and other. Look. In Nigeria, for instance, the emirs in the north, they have their traditional way of ruling their people. And when they give order, everybody obeys. In the Yoruba kingdom too, the Obas have a way of ruling their people. Each word that comes out of the Oba mouth, settles matters.
Is that what is happening right now? Hold on, Prof. Is that what is happening right now?
I'm only referencing where we're coming from, our background.
Okay.
Which we are.
You are talking about yesteryears, not now.
Yes, not now. Good.
I mentioned earlier that this democracy is not working. It's not African. We need to jettison it and go back to our roots. Our root is what I'm trying to reference now. That in the north, the emirs are in charge. In the Yoruba kingdom, the Obas are in charge. Then in Igbo land, we have the Obis and the kings. And like Prof said earlier, nothing can happen in their kingdom without them knowing. It's not possible.
Exactly.
And they were all afraid of what will happen to them if they tell lies or if they manipulate anything. But these days, because of the importation of westernization, which have succeeded in ridiculing our fabrics, we are hanging, whether we like it or not. We are hanging. Even the language we are talking about now, English language, some of the whites, they maintain their traditional language. They go with interpreters. But we are so carried away by foreign or imported concepts, which we need to go back.
Well, once Martin,
the Chinese, the Chinese in their method, you see the way they do their thing in their own way, and they are moving. When you are moving, people will join you. The world will join you. The way we are having it now, for instance, the Boko Haram, bandits, herdsmen, all of this. I raised the alarm 2007, 2009 on newspapers. Nobody seemed to understand. Even the journalists were even seeing me as this one is not serious. We see what is happening now. Therefore, all these are, in existence because of politics. I mentioned 2014. God revealed to me the sponsors of Boko Haram are 100 politicians, both past and present, in the newspaper. 12th August. Page 31. How can you, a leader, be leading us? You are recruiting Boko Haram to destroy us. You use our money to sustain the system.
Anyway,
use our money to sponsor them.
Use
our money
Reverend, since you don't
rehabilitate the system.
Since you don't have proof of that, let us just that right now.
I am available. If the government wants, I will open their eyes and show them things that they don't know.
All right,
what is happening.
All right, Reverend, I will come back to you now. You just hold on. I will come back to you. Some of the people that politics seems to be the problem. But in other countries in Africa, you mentioned Ghana, that is working for them. Then how come it's not working for majority of African countries? Get to see the clips, people going up and down, protesting, burning tires, having this altercation with security forces because the leaders want to, impede, or will I say, adjust or manipulate the political system. Do you think that if we should scrap the word right now, democracy, Africa, I don't think it'll be better for us, like what he's suggesting?
Well, if you look at the case of Ghana, there was what we call political overhaul of the system. When Rawlings, lined up, identify all political barriers in the system, and identify them, line them up, tie them on the stake, and show them like common criminals. And so that sent a lot of signal, to others that, hey, if you, and thereafter, he stayed in power for so long to stabilize the system. And so politicians were now scared, to do the wrong thing. And right from, he built on that, he built on that. And today, they are a democratically stable nation, to the extent that other African countries even try to borrow a leaf from how they did it. So you tend to now look at what the problem is solved there was corruption to the highest level. And it's corruption that is disrupting a lot of leadership problems in Africa. And we talk about economic problem, economic hopelessness, like we are experiencing in many countries, including our dear country and others. So what the cause of it is corruption. And what has led to corruption? Because of poor leadership problem. And so if you put all this together, you discover Ghana was able to solve, look very deeply into that corruption, and they dealt with it in a very drastic manner that sent a very strong signal, to politicians there that, hey, if you try anything funny, you'll be in trouble. If you look at South Africa have their own political crisis, but if you look at their system of government, it's democratic system they are running, it's somewhat stable compared to many other African countries. What you experience in South Africa is these social vices, which any other country, or this raises problem.
Xenophobia.
Yes, exactly. All those are the crimes, but certainly not the system of government.
Now you're saying that democracy is working in some
parts?
parts?
Yes, it's working in some parts.
Reverend, you heard him.
Yes, I agree with him. But then, Prof was saying corruption. Politicians, corruption. Moving around the same issue. How do we stop the corruption? We Africans, we believe in hard punishment.
Hard punishment.
Before we can hear. That is where I now said, if you bring the what do you call it? The chief priest. Just like here in the Benin Kingdom, they gather all the chief priests, they bring out all their juju and all that. I think any governor will not touch one cover, because the moment he touches, he will die. That is our method. Whether we like it or not, the moment we try it now, corruption will just die on its own. Then going back to what Prof said, Jerry Rawlings, he wiped away all the bad politicians. And I saw it coming to Nigeria. If it doesn't happen, I will resign being a prophet. I published it on Daily Sun newspaper 2014, 12th August, page 31, and it is coming. It is coming. It is coming. And at the end of that, everywhere will become cool again, like Ghana. So Africans, they learn through hard lesson. We don't learn, even in school. If you don't flog children, they don't concentrate. I'm sure the white men don't flog, but we flog here. If you don't flog here, the child will become able. So let us not be like the wise. The wise cannot be like us. We need strong hand to be able to do what is right. The moment this method is applied, now corruption will just vanish.
I think the issue of corruption, if our constitution is respected very well, if the various anti-graft laws are respected very well, if we don't have corrupt politicians operating them, then we are good and dry.
Prof,
we are good and dry.
The system is already riddled with corruption.
Yes,
nobody is free. Therefore, we need this strong measure.
For example, for example, you still remember when Saraki was Senate president, and because of the high level of corruption in our electoral system, you know, that should be the 7th National Assembly. Very good. Then I said, okay, let's look at electoral reform.
All right, now you just hold on. We want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's all about leadership crisis in Africa. Is it a crack in political structure? But now my guests are talking about going back to the old ways, fighting corruption and the rest of them. I have a prof in the house, Professor Anthony Jewere, and of course a clergyman, a political analyst, Reverend Iwala Jordan. They've been talking at length about what is really happening in this great continent of ours. You were talking about corruption.
Yes, like I was saying, you still remember the former Senate president, name of Dr. Saraki. You know, and when they saw that there was too much corruption in the electoral system, they now put heads together. How do we solve this problem? They now came up with electoral reform. And funny enough, the thing went to the presidency for his assent. First time, second time, third time, fourth time, and the election was around the corner. What happened at the end of the day? He died a natural death. So, whereas the idea was to make the country move forward in its electoral system, you know, and that would have checked a lot of things. The wrong people wouldn't have occupied offices. You know, they would have come through a free, fair election, you know, but that did not happen. Again, because we are talking about what? Leadership thing. You know, the executive did not allow that bill to see the light of the day. You know, if that thing was allowed to see the light of the day, then the right people now come into office who are ready to work. You know, I mean, for God's sake, things will streamline. And it's not just national, it will go across the nation. And we're going to be having a semblance of what elections should be, and the constitution will better be what? Operated, because the right people got into the office to operate the constitution. But that did not happen. So that is what we're talking. So corruption has a lot to do with it. If the leader, if we still remember Nkrumah and co, even Gandhi of India and all that, these were grassroots politicians who were people oriented, you know, who had some background about leadership, who had feelings, true feelings for their people, and this thing was carried through, you know, in governance. So, but we are not seeing that in our electoral system, in our government system. It's the same thing with other African countries. So I'm still insisting that corruption plays a major role in our governance or government system we're operating in African countries. So not until that thing is curbed, you know, whether we're even like my friend was saying, that if we go back to the traditional institutions, you know, and we may be having solution to the problem. Our traditional rulers, are they still the same? They used to be some years ago. I think that's a big question mark. Are they still the same? I mean, maybe you help us to answer that.
I'll answer.
Over to you. Are they still the same? Because talking about corruption.
Exactly, corruption.
Okay, now for what you're saying, democracy is not the issue.
No,
right?
no.
Corruption in the system.
Yes, yes.
They don't have option. When the chief priest comes up with...
Even the chief priests,
I am coming.
Are they not corrupted?
I am coming. If you go back to those days, the chief priest himself is being careful so that the gods of the land does not strike him. The gods doesn't know that you are the chief priest. When you err, you are gone. Therefore, he avoids telling lies. Those days, people don't go to court. They go to those traditional institutions. They judge matters and say the right thing. If you are a witness in the matter, if you don't tell the truth, you die. As I'm talking to you now in my place, such things are still existing. Even if you're dealing with a governor and he's intimidating you, go there and summon him, either he tells the truth or he dies. So you see, corruption is absent in such an institution. That is Africa. But we want to be like other people. God made the Israelites to be ruled by the judges. They said they want to have king like other people. God said, no, I didn't make you to be like other nations. I'm giving you judges that will carry you. They insisted, and they were disturbing God. God said, okay, take king. When the king came, corruption came, trouble everywhere. God said, you are not like other nations. So we cannot be like other nations. We cannot be like the West. The West cannot be like us. Therefore, we have traditional values now. We have traditional values.
But he asked a very vital question.
I am coming.
Is it the same thing years ago or what we're having right now, even a traditional institution?
I am coming. I said the chief priest himself is scared of being insincere because the powers of the land will kill him for being insincere. He has to say the truth to save his own head. Therefore, he doesn't look at anybody's face. He says the truth and go back. Then, in such condition, corruption is already solved by such our traditional institution. Even in the school, in the university where we are, the lecturers too, they know that we are leaving our position, trying to be like other people. We need to go back. We are Africans. When we are doing well, other nations will come. They will join us and celebrate like what you said earlier. Saudi Arabia and other ones, they are still operating not democracy, their own traditional method.
My friend, I was so happy you made a point and you anchored your point in Imo State. Yes. We're also aware that a former governor, his sister, his immediate junior sister, acquired 49 choice properties in Imo State. And traditional rulers and what have you were involved and nothing happened. We're also aware that the governor used state money and acquired so much and nothing happened. We're also aware that there's a governor called Supreme Court governor, and traditional rulers were involved, what have you, and nothing happened. So it rhymes with the theory I propagated earlier, that traditional rulers they are no longer, some are no longer the same. In fact, majority are no longer the same.
Okay, Prof, permit me to say this. The moment, like I said, the chief priest, the moment we go back now, the chief priest will start correcting things. And the king of the community, the chief priest will consult the gods of the land. And
but he's saying that
I'm coming.
You are going back to previous years, but not now.
Right now. I'm coming. Right now, those things are existing among us. They exist, only that we have jettisoned them because of politics. Politics that was imported from the Western world. I said the moment the chief priest comes up to say, like now people struggling, voting for kingship, it is not so. The king will say, the God said this man will become the king. Whether he has money or not, he becomes. But now politicians will come and influence who will become the king. Because the chief priest has been abandoned because of Christianity and politics. Those things has been abandoned totally. Therefore, we don't follow the system any longer. If the chief priest says, this man, God said he's going to be the king, whether he's poor. I'm sure when I was in Uniport, the king of that Yoruba, those days, he used to carry bicycle, tie wrapper, no shoe, no slippers. I said, this is their king. I laugh. I said, now, wow. They are still following that method. There are big men all over, but the powers of the land say, this man should be the king. And he became. That is what we need, sincerity, devoid of corruption. The moment it comes in, it will checkmate other systems, other segments of the society. Everything will be corrected. We have only erosioned the system with westernization. Let our system go back. We want to be like, can I behave like the son of Obama? It's not possible. I have to behave, like the son of whom I am. Okay. If I behave like the son of Igwenedio, maybe by the next 2 weeks I go to prison.
Okay.
We need to go back to our roots.
All right. Now,
Prof,
if you take a look at...
We are discussing certain ideas.
Hold on.
Excuse me, sir.
All right.
Do you know that even the governorship issue, if it is done that way, to say this is the oath of office, they gather all those, their juju together, everybody will be scared. Even people will even leave politics and go back to their businesses because there's no surplus any longer in politics.
Wow, interesting. Now, what about the interference of Western countries, European countries in the affairs of Africa? Don't you think that is playing this other role when we talk about leadership crisis in Africa? You mentioned Libya. Don't forget also the fight in Rwanda, where France has been accused of not doing what they ought to do to stop that massacre in the 90s.
If you look at African leaders, you know, in the process of trying to acquire power by all means, they don't mind killing. We still remember Doe. Is this Sergeant Doe? Samuel Doe of Liberia. He committed genocide. We're aware of that one. He committed genocide. Idi Amin was using African method of our governance. It did not work. To the extent he would say, forget the Queen. In fact, when he invited people from Britain, and when they came, he said, he now built a hut that is not as long, that will not take tall people. And as they were entering the hut, he said, you see, they bowed down for me. so the point I'm making is that well, Idi Amin used this African approach, though it was a military man, combined militancy and African tradition. But did it work? The answer I know. Why? Because he was greedy, you know, as a leader. He loved, you know, decent life, and so all the best women were all around him and all that. You know, so the whole thing goes down the same way. So if we were in globalization, we cannot, if we want aid, you know, from most of these advanced nations, you have to belong. You know, you can't be in this global world. You can't operate on your own, because the system is tied together. You know, if you must, like this vaccine thing, this coronavirus vaccine, because we belong to the global world, and that is why we are recognized, and that is why they brought some vaccines to Nigeria free of charge, you know, besides the one the government bought. The climate change that our president has just been invited for recently by Bin Laden of the U.S.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, sorry, yes. Joe Biden of U.S.
Yes.
It's because he believes that we belong to the you know, democratic system of government. You know, if we were operating the local you know, system of government, they would be ignored. You know, I know you say Saudi Arabia, but they have also fine-tuned their system of government to the extent that, you see, I tell you something, if your system of government is working and the people are happy, America will not grumble, Britain will not grumble. They allow you be who you are. You know, but when they discover that the system is not working, of course they get concerned. And if you belong to a democratic nation, they will not say, hey, did you apply the Constitution? Did you respect your Constitution? And they will get concerned about things like that. I think that is the issue.
All right, now let's take a look at the African Union. You know, a group of countries came together to form the African Union. I don't think that if they are active or proactive, all this crisis will not be seen in Africa as a continent. Prophet.
Remember we mentioned the bloodline of Africa, and it is the same. Only God knows why it is the same. So we have to be
an issue of blood, birds of the same feather, together. So what do you expect?
So they want to even remain in power all through. When they die, their son will take over.
So do you mean that AU can do nothing about it?
Nothing.
They are the same.
They are the same. That is the issue. Therefore, the African method is the solution.
You keep saying African method, but they say that it's not the same the way it used to be way back in some of our forefathers.
That's the truth.
Now you have so many dilutions here and there.
That is why I said, if we want now, it can be, you know, reactivated. I told you in my place, those things are still, even in your place, it's still existing. When a big man is dragging land with a poor man, the poor man will summon the big man there. You have to come and tell the truth.
My brother,
those things are still the only that
if you watch our home videos,
yes.
those people that hit something on the ground, is that not what you are calling
the chief priest?
The chief priest.
The chief priest.
From what we have discovered in the home video, do you not discover in some cases the chief priest is bribed?
Yes.
He's bribed.
I'm
True or false?
I mentioned it that where the chief priest is operating, he is saving his own head because the powers will kill him
because
he has told lies or he has taken bribes.
All right, now, since we've agreed that things are no longer the same, when you compare this timeline with the timeline of our forefathers, there is a huge disparity.
Yes.
What do you think we should do to quell all this crisis in African continent? Because it's like one too many. If it's not Mali today, it's Ivory Coast tomorrow, it's Senegal the other day, Central African Republic, Niger, you just name it, Nigeria. Everyone's like, just boiling in this continent. What should we do, the way forward?
You see, I remember those days when we were at school. If you steal stool or locker from school and come back, your father will ask you who owns this locker or this stool. I didn't buy this one for you. You will be flogged and dealt with, and you'll be exposed. He'll carry it to the school.
Value system.
That is values, societal value. In my place too, I remember during the reign of 419, when the few ones that tried it came home with 505 that time. Our elders were saying, don't go there. You don't know how he made the money, don't go. And everybody was afraid. Let me not be used for sacrifice. Societal value. The traditional values gone because of politics, because of civilization. Even the church where I belong to, they are not helping matters. That is even the root of the whole crisis. Because the pastor is supposed to tell somebody the truth. Not if you don't want to carry the Bible and go.
But some pastors do tell the truth.
Yes.
They tell you the truth. This is what
the way I do in the church. I think last time somebody came and I was giving order. That one was not following. I said, yeah, leave here. People were scared. During the child education, what invited against? Carry the Bible and leave here. You understand? Nonsense. I am not a pastor. I am a prophet. So
okay.
What I'm saying is that in all spheres of our society, there is need for restoration of societal value. We need to bring it back. The politicians now, don't you know that our political activities are the issue responsible for these Yahoo boys, because they have discovered that you can make money overnight and become millionaire. Okay, if we're having the Yahoo boys, are you thinking of the next 15, 20 years, what will happen next? Nobody will even learn mechanic. Nobody will learn any work because the societal value has been destroyed.
All right, thank you so much, Reverend Jordan Iwala. Prof, you're going to have the last take on this because it's like it's one disturbance too many around the continent. What do you think should be done?
It's very straightforward. If we say if you are in Rome, behave like a Roman. If we decide to operate democratic system of government, we have to respect the tenets of it. Countries we borrowed it from, US and the rest of the advanced nations, they are operating it very well. You remember when Trump was kind of stubborn and he refused to leave power. The institutions just rejected him. The CIA, all of them, they just abandoned him, and he was alone. And nobody now told him that it's time up. He had to start packing his hair. And they say, look, if by 1 week and he's still in White House, they will go and gather his things, put in the Air Force, the cargo, and off he goes. And he knew the whole thing, and he started respecting, and he had no choice than respect the law. You see, so when the law is instituted, the law of the land is instituted, and everybody responsible for the implementation of the law knows his role, the role is supposed to play. Things will fall in, but where you truncate the system, the constitution, you truncate it, you don't respect court orders, you don't respect the judiciary, then where they are supposed to be reform, electoral reform, security reform, you don't allow it to take place because of some personal interests and selfish interests and all that, the system will collapse. So you won't now say it's because the system of government was borrowed that is the problem. No, it's the individual operating the system. Because if the constitution is allowed to flow, like in advanced nation, I just gave example of that of US, you will enjoy democracy. Democracy has its own beauty. So it's the character. It's the character behind it that is the issue. And a good constitution is supposed to also take care of corruption. That's why we have these anti-graft agencies. Are they actually doing their work? We've seen cases where most of the activity are done on newspapers, on media houses and all that. Even before the court will take decision, they're already parading the whole thing. They do selective and justice and all that. So how do you expect the system to work? Do you now say the constitution is the system or the anti-graft agencies? No, it's the individuals involved, because they are using politics. If you don't belong to a political party in power, then you get into trouble. Then they use all these anti-graft agencies to witch hunt individuals that perhaps have not committed any offense. And by the time you do all those things, you mix up the whole system. And so if at the end of the day, the system is not working, it's not because the system is not right, but the individual is running the system. So democracy should respect the constitution of the land, and things will work out fine.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. I know you have so much to say, but I know you're going to link into a traditional institution. I know you're going to say that. Well, you heard both of them. Leadership crisis in Africa, cracks in the political structure. Well, let's just see how we can really get out of this. But the big thing is this: if you want to practice democracy, practice it to the latter, and let corruption be very, very far from us. And I believe that eventually, as a continent, we'll get there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today's show. I appreciate your wonderful analysis. See you tomorrow, God willing, on International Forum. Bye for now.